I've been around Major League Baseball for over 52 years, and I've seen a lot of changes in the game. Some of them have been very good, and a few of them have not. And one of the changes that I've seen kind of happened around the mid-1990s, 1995, 96. Catching became an offensive position. And what I mean by that, they started bringing guys in that could hit home runs, but it weren't guys that were fundamentally sound behind home plate and could help pitching staffs get through ball games a lot easier than they do today. I'm going to bring a batter up here in a second, Tom Davis, who's one of the toughest left-hand hitters I'm going to ever catch behind. But I'm going to show you exactly what the Dempsey Theory, as you see right here, and what it has to do that may change Major League Baseball and the way teams approach the game. Okay, Tom, if you'll come in. I'm going to show you what it used to be like, okay, when I had to catch behind home plate, because when I set up to help my pitcher get pitches, I set up in a position where I could touch the batter's back leg almost right here. That's when I know when I get my target behind home plate on the corners, you could see it was almost over the back corner of home plate. It was very close. And so pitches on the corners, I could get them called strikes without even doing what they call framing a pitch. I could catch the ball right here. The umpire would be more inclined to call more ball strikes. Okay, if I wanted to work on the outside corner, it would still look like this. Now you can see there's not much distance between the back of home plate and where I sit. But today's catchers, and you can look at every team in Major League Baseball, every catcher wants to sit so far back that the backswing of a hitter's swing, when he swings and misses, is not going to hit them. So in some cases, it's not just 2 feet too far back. It may be as much as 4 feet too far back. And if you make the umpire try to call a ball game where he's 5 or 6 feet behind home plate, it's almost impossible to get a good called ball game on pitches where you need to have the corners. Now let me go to the board and show you what I'm talking about here. If we get the catchers to move up 2 feet or more closer to the plate, there's 180 to 200 pitches per game that a catcher is going to catch. He is going to get at least 15% more of the pitches called strikes. Now, out of 200, that's 30 pitches. Out of the 30 pitches, you're going to get 8 to 10 more 2-and-2 counts, which makes it more pitcher-friendly counts because that's a pitcher's count and not a hitter's count. The hitters won't like this because they won't have as many 3-and-1 counts. So 2-and-2 counts have a huge effect on the amount of pitches that a pitcher is going to have to throw to get outs. So let's say we save that pitcher 30 pitches during the course of his outing. Now you don't have guys coming out of the ballgame in the 5th inning with a 100-pitch count. And then you see a parade of pitchers coming in from the bullpen as early as the 3rd or 4th inning of ball games to save the starters from having to go, throw so many pitches. You've got, how much time does that take to have 6 to 7 pitchers come in from the bullpen? Their Major League Baseball is your answer to the time restrictions that you want to put on the game. Instead of worrying about the catcher going to the mound 6 times or more during the course of the game, he can go to the mound as many times as he wants because you're not going to be spending another 45 minutes or another hour bringing in 6 or 7 guys to be ready to play the game. So my theory is move the catcher up. Every team move the catcher back up into the strike zone where he should be catching the ball. You're going to get a lot more pitches called strike. The game will speed up.
Wild pitches have increased dramatically since 1988. There were 1,262 wild pitches with 26 teams in the majors. 1998, 1,602 wild pitches with 30 teams in the majors. And now this season, 1,789 wild pitches. Now, Rick, you make some interesting comments, I think, about that whole theory. But let me ask you this. When I was standing up there for a second, it seemed like you were so close that it would have been easy for me to take the bat and hit your catcher's glove with it, like a catcher's interference.
Yeah, catcher's interference. Now, all the old guys used to talk about if you don't get dinged at least once or twice a season, you're really not up far enough. Well, it's so rare that it would ever happen, Tom, because wherever your glove is, the bat, where he has to make contact to get a base hit is usually 2 or 3 feet in front of you, and if you know, there's no way, unless he really swings late, or Wesser, a hitter, is back there trying to hit your mitt. He has to see it out of the corner of his eye and swing straight down to get catcher's interference. But I'll tell you, it's the game, the position of catching. It's desperate that we start teaching all of these guys to get closer to the strike zone, get closer to home plate. So the amount of pitches that are thrown, you can get starters. They deserve these pitches that are on the corners of the plate. They could get to the 5th inning with, you know, in the 70s with their pitches, and maybe get to the 7th or 8th inning very easily if they're getting those pitches called strikes, and nobody's ever even thought about it.
So what you're basically saying is defense has gone away from catching for more hitting.
No doubt about that at all. But if you want to improve the amount of pitches, and you want to save yourself time in the game, and that's another facet of the game that Major League Baseball's always worried about. Stop having to bring so many pitchers in, because late in ball games, as you know, managers like to match up, and that's another 3 guys coming in a ball game.
It really is interesting. I mean, what you're saying about when you're trying to catch the ball, I mean, it's obviously a lot of movement on it. It's probably more in the strike zone up here than it is back here.
Well, think about sitting another 3 feet back too far and how much movement you have to deal with. If a pitcher has a breaking ball, a curved ball that is probably a foot and a half big, try to say, where do you have to sit on the plate in order to get him a strike? You know, you can get it much easier up here than you can way back here. So it really causes a lot of trouble, and every team should look into it.
And what he's really saying is catchers can make the game. There's no doubt about that.
There is no doubt.
And he did that for many, many a year.